Hello everybody, welcome to our channel once again. Today we're going to take a tour into how Africa Aaiggn International started, and it's going to be more like a discussion. The journey has not been easy, but it's been a journey that has been divinely orchestrated. So do hold on as we take this as we ride through this journey. Can you remember how we started this journey? It was really fun initially, with the excitement, I guess, excitement of going on a countrywide evangelism. And
Yeah, for me, it's been graceful. God has been gracious to us in Africa Rise. Looking back in 2019 when Africa Rise started, and I just want to think of how it started. It's a long journey we have pulled through for the past 5 years. Now in 2019, Apostle Mike Arnold, who has been my long-time friend since 2012, um, sent me a message that he was not just coming alone, he was coming with about 6 more American missionaries. And I looked at it, I said, look, prior to this time, you've been coming to our church only, preaching in our church. But I think God wants us to do something bigger since you're coming with a team. And we started looking at, reaching out to Unity for Africa, which was pioneered by his mentor, late mentor, Professor John of Aaiggn. And then, due to my close contact with some of the directors of Unity for Africa, of which one of them, Professor Sam Aaiggn, was the one that God used to introduce me to Mike Arnold in 2012. You remember Professor Sam Aaiggn? He's been more like a father to us, in Africa Rise. He's actually the chairman of Africa Rise International. So I traveled from Abuja to Owerri to meet with him and then to get him to introduce me to, some of the directors of Unity for Africa, and going to Owerri, coming back to Abuja, going to Owerri, coming back, traveling severally, and then
with the
coming
risk
back.
involved and
I'm telling you.
everything.
And
I can
it
imagine. I can
was
remember.
the last journey, the last trip to Owerri, when I couldn't succeed at gathering the former directors of Unity for Africa. As I was coming back, I was on the vehicle and I heard a voice say to me, "You cannot put a new wine in an old wine skin." That Unity for Africa has served its own purpose, and the man that God used for that purpose had gone to be with the Lord. And then that was when the Lord said, okay, that the name I'm giving to you is Africa Arise. Africa Arise. And I quickly sent a message to Mike Arnold and said, this is what God wants. And immediately he agreed. And that was how we started, the journey into Africa Rise International.
We started preparing for a national
It was a
interstate
nationwide campaign, a nationwide crusade.
crusade. Sort of.
Majorly, basically, it began as a tool for end time global evangelism, purely for the purpose of preaching the gospel. That was how we started. And then we started by planning out crusades and outreaches in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Owerri, and then taking the gospel around. That was how we started in 2019.
And it wasn't easy. It was really a very hectic journey. Sometimes when I sit back and I wonder how we took a detour from evangelism, somehow we now moved into humanitarian services, and that is actually where we are currently. If I try to imagine it, sometimes it seems as if it's unimaginable.
You know what God does is that when He gives you a vision, he doesn't give you the full, he will not always, not in every situation, that he gives you the full glimpse of it. You know, he just like I usually quote Abraham. God said, leave your father's house, leave your kindred, and go to a place I will show you. At the time God was giving him that vision and revelation, God didn't tell him where he was going to. So the journey with God begins by you taking the first step in obedience to the first instruction given to you. So when Africa Arise, you use the word detour, but I will use a different word. Africa Arise started with a vision to preach the gospel, but little did we know that it was a double. It was like a
God
double.
was
It was
just
like a
taking
double-edged
us
sword, and
through.
God was taking us through the path,
Exactly.
helping us to discover what lies ahead or what actually he intends for us
Exactly.
to achieve
The
using
main
this tool.
purpose
Yeah.
behind the evangelism as a tool that was used initially. And when I also think of the day we wanted to go for the crusade at Nyanya field,
Wow.
I could remember the first time we went there, we met with the managers of the field and we made all arrangements, and all of us were zealous to go there and have a citywide Nyanya crusade where a lot of people will gather and fill the whole stadium and will minister the gospel like Ray had Bunky then were ministering the gospel. And I was already imagining in my mind how 6 Americans were going to minister to a whole crowd on that very faithful day. And by the time we came out from the apartment where we are, entered the vehicles, um, we came around and said, we're no more going on that crusade. The way all of us looked that day. But it later turned out to be a blessing. So I
Yeah.
don't know how did you see it?
Well,
How was your experience like that day?
well, for me, um, coming out that day, having prepared for the crusade, one thing I have personally discovered in life: never journey through life without God.
Mm.
If God gives you
Never
an
journey
assignment,
through
He
life
has the
without God.
blueprint,
Mm.
He has the master plan
Mm.
for the assignment. Don't work on your own. So I
Mm.
was in the place of prayer. Everything was set for us to go hold the crusade. We've put security in place. We've networked with ministers, pastors in that environment. We've done everything. We've done a very
Everything, basically
wonderful
everything.
groundwork put in
Exactly.
place. But it was in the
Impressive.
place of prayer that I heard a voice say to me, number one, don't take the Americans there. Cancel that event. I said, God, why? And he said to me, because they are not safe.
Hmm.
If you take them there, they will not be safe.
Hmm.
And I said, but look, these pastors, ministers, will put in a lot.
Hmm.
How can I just, okay, good. Is the Lord speaking? Where do you want us to go to? I said to me, take them to the IDP camp. I've been hearing about the IDPs, but at that point, I have never visited any IDP camp. So they asked me, Jed, what do you want us to do? Where do we go to? What do we do? I said, the Lord said we should go to an IDP camp. Do you know the place? Let's go. And that was how we started driving around
Driving around, I can
Abuja. You
remember.
remember?
Yes.
Driving around Abuja until we got to a bike, a motorcyclist, a bike man, what we call in Nigeria, Okada man.
Yes.
And then he took us through
Through a path.
a path.
I could remember the path. The way the path was leading us into a place. In fact, I didn't expect to see what I saw.
And as we were going through that narrow, lonely
Path.
path, their safety and security was
My
paramount to
heart was
me,
actually beating.
But thank God we eventually got to a place and we saw the IDPs. We saw children. We saw old women. We saw their shanties. We just saw the kind of situation they found themselves in. And that was the journey. That was how our second assignment was
Began.
revealed to us
Exactly.
in Africa Rise.
Exactly. So wow, I could remember how that day looked like. And getting to the camp, we met Mr. Luca, who took us to the school and told us how the camp came into existence in that location, in that new Kuchingoro location. And then from there, he took us right into the residence where these IDP were now residing. And that very day, I could remember seeing the white men, stooping down and children running towards them and some touching their hairs and, touching their ears. I could imagine how these children were feeling, seeing some of these children, some of these Americans coming to see them and pay them a visit that very day. I was watching myself the other day, how my expression in the camp, on that fateful day we got to the camp in 2019, and I was like, wow, it's been a very long journey, but it's a journey that I don't regret till tomorrow. It's a journey that has brought so much fulfillment to my life, and I know, sir, to your life too, and even to the life of so many of us that went to that camp that very
Yeah,
day.
when you talk about fulfillment, we what God has called us to do in Africa Rise is to give hope
To the
to the
hopeless.
hopeless,
Exactly.
become a voice
Mm.
to the voiceless,
Mm-hmm.
and become defenders of the defenseless.
Mm.
You know, seeing white Americans in the camp in 2019 and a team of other Nigerians gave those children hope.
Exactly. A lot of them.
How children in their own country could be displaced
Mm.
as a result of insecurity and Boko Haram insurgency.
Mm.
And they didn't have anybody to speak up for them, or people were speaking up for them. So Africa Rise joined the league of those who could speak up for those who couldn't speak up for themselves,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
join the leagues of those who could, who were defending those that couldn't defend themselves, and becoming a voice to the voiceless.
Mm.
That is what God has called us to do. So we is a confirmation of God's calling, into our lives and upon our lives. The other day, I remember I was telling you, God used Africa, right, especially the humanitarian aspect of it. Don't forget, it's a double-edged sword now.
Yes.
With one sword, you're preaching the gospel. One side of the sword, you're preaching the gospel. With the other sword, you're rendering humanitarian services. So it was another way of God telling us, look, my children, this is what I've called you to do. This is what I've called you to do, to render services to the poor, to the needy, to the less privileged of the society. And from myself to yourself to Mike Arnold, it was kind of God revealing a part of his purpose and assignment for us and for the entire team of Africa Rise.
Though we've not really gotten to what God has prepared and packaged for us in terms of purpose achievement, I know that it's still a journey. We're still going through the journey. We've not gotten to our Canaan. We've not gotten to our promised land. But for comparing this, you find out that we've gone so far. We've
Well,
gone
it
so
has
far
been,
between 2019 and now.
it has been God all this while. And there's something I don't want us to miss during this conversation was that we met Luca,
Yes.
who later brought out Hanatu came out.
Yes.
And during the period of interaction, we asked them. It was Mike Arnold that asked them, what do you want
The
the Americans to do for you? When we go back to America, what would you want the Americans, the world to do for you? And they said something. Boko Haram means Western education is prohibited, is forbidden.
It's forbidden.
And it became a tool for Boko Haram to displace their children because they didn't want them to continue with Western education and Western civilization. So, and they told us, look, teach our children with the same weapon that these people have used to displace us from our homes, equip us with the same weapon. Teach our children so that they can grow up and not become a menace to the society, but a blessing to the society. So that was how our effort with the Arise Academy started. And we are committed to providing free basic education to the children of the IDPs. And this initiative, this effort started from the new Kochingoro IDP camp, where we have over 350 students,
yes,
pupils that we are helping to teach without charging them money, and paying staff salaries and supporting in other ways. From New Kochingoro IDP camp, we also moved to the Durumi IDP camp that started with about 30 kids.
30 pupils.
30 pupils.
Exactly.
And today, they have about 280 pupils. You know, and putting the two of them together, we have over 500 pupils in that place, and there are over 15 staff that are well paid. Their salaries are well paid, you know, and we are improving on it due to the economic hardship in Nigeria and what we call inflation. And the recent introduction of the federal government approved minimum wage of 70,000 naira, which is about $50 per month.
Yes, sir.
50 USD for month.
About $50 per month.
Yeah.
Approximately.
So we are committed to providing free and basic education for these children, and we constantly call on people, organizations to come and support us, to come and partner with us at Africa Rise, so that we can continue to be a blessing to these children. And to think that funding has been coming, 90% of the funds have been coming. That maybe that could be a topic for another day.
Yes, it's a topic for another day. It's a discussion for another day. I also want us to talk about how we moved from Durumi and down to Wasa.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. So from New Kochingoro, you know, Enoch told us to go to Durumi,
which wasn't easy for us.
Which wasn't easy.
It was a fight.
I think we can dedicate one day to talk about that.
Yes.
And then we also went to the Wasa IDP camp.
But before Wasa, you went to Maraba Guruku.
Yeah, I visited the Maraba Guruku, IDP.
And then
I went to Malaysia Garden
camp.
You know,
exactly.
Trying to see trying to take statistics and statistics of the IDP camps, speaking with their chairman and all the people. You know, when I got to Guruku, I discovered that one German organization had taken over. They've built schools, they've built hospitals, they've built buildings.
It's more like a community.
They have established they had established a community for them at that time. So we were now looking for he now told us to go to Wasa. And Wasa has, as at that time in 2019, Wasa has the largest number of IDPs. Yeah.
And out of school children.
They had about 5,000 just in Wasa alone.
Yes.
5,000 IDPs. Exactly. And about 2,000 to 3,000 out of school children. So we were looking at it, was very big, very massive. How do we come? What do we do? There was no structure. And that was how we looked for a land and bought a land. And currently, it's good to know that we started building a school for the less privileged of the society. And it is something worth partnering with. You know, it's something that we want to finish as quickly as possible, provide free education to these children. This is what God has called us to do. And there are some of you out there, there are a lot of you out there that God has called, but you're looking for where to channel your resources, where to channel your strength, your efforts to. I want to invite you to partner with Africa Rise International, partner with the Arise Academy, where we provide free and basic education, where we provide free and basic education for the less privileged of the society and the IDPs in Abuja and outside.
Come to imagine when you have, some of us have children, and our children are privileged to go to good schools, and our children are privileged to learn. And imagine these other children who desire to go to school, and probably most of them have an amazing, great future where, if actually assisted properly by sending them to school, they might turn out tomorrow to become the presidents, the doctors
Yeah,
that will treat us, the lawyers that will defend the less privileged too, and maybe engineers that will assist in building up our economy. So these are destinies that we need to rescue.
History has it that great men are usually born out of great
Adversity,
adversities,
correct, sir.
Severe trials. These children, if provided with good and quality education, like you said, they're going to turn out to become great men and women in the society that will be a blessing to our society. But if we abandon them, that's the danger. That's just the danger of insecurity. That's the danger of what we're going through. That's the danger of the government not taking care of its citizens and people.
That's the danger of these children not going to school.
The danger of them not going to school.
Exactly.
They become a problem. They become the hoodlums. They become a whole lot of problem to the society.
Exactly.
So by providing free and basic education for them, you are kind of taming them. You're kind of modeling them, molding them into becoming good citizens, for the society.
Yes.
And that is where we're coming to provide education for these children.
So if you're out there watching us this moment, it's an opportunity for you to support what we're doing. Make sure, try as much as possible to see that a child is not left out to the streets without going to school. A future is not truncated. A destiny is not terminated by allowing these children to rot on the streets and turn into a menace to the society. Remember, as we've been crying out for salvation in Nigeria, basically, the salvation we might be longing for might not be found in the midst of the so-called classy people that we think salvation will come from. Salvation might come from these ones who have been through it, who can tell, who knows how it feels, who can empathize with those that are hungry, those that are downtrodden, those that are going through such persecutions and killings and insurgency challenges. They feel it better and they know it better. I think they are the ones that could proffer better solution to the challenges nation like Nigeria are going through. So please do, the greatest investment you can do in life is to invest in the life of a child to go to school. If you save a child's destiny by sending the child to school, you have saved that child's future and you have saved the future of a nation.
Wow. I want to end by saying that revolution is coming to Nigeria.
Amen.
Revolution. When I talk about revolution, it's not going to be violent. It's not going to be like masses trooping out and toppling the government. There's a mind shift. There's a shift going on in the minds of the average Nigerian youth. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So there is mind revolution. And these children that we're providing free and basic education for at the IDP, God is using this to work on their mindsets.
Exactly.
A generation is springing up. A generation of young people in this country called Nigeria is springing up, to make sure that the right things are done. To make sure that they are governed in the right way they know, not the way they should be, because politicians in this country have a kind of mindset on how they should govern the people. But the people are rising up, they are becoming enlightened, knowing how they know to be governed. So this is bringing a kind of revolution, positive revolution. And within the next 5-10 years, we're going to see the impact of this revolution. And that is why it is important that we educate these children properly.
Wow, that's awesome. It's an awesome journey. I don't regret being part of this. I don't regret it. And I bet you if you partner with us, you'll not regret it. Thank you for watching us today. It's been an amazing discussion. Please do subscribe to this channel and do share. Click on your share button and share with your friends, share with your neighbors, share with your colleagues and everyone. It's an amazing time. Thank you.